families of the victims, of course, are watching all of this unfold. And joining me now is the attorney for the families of Jessica Taylor, as well as Shannon Gilbert. John Ray, thank you so much for your time here. First of all, we know right now that Heuermann is facing charges in connection to 3 murders, but there is this group known as the Gilgo Four. So how soon do you think we'll see charges in the 4th slaying of victim Maureen Brainerd Barnes?
It would seem only that the district attorney has some, it's almost ministerial at this point to develop the rest of the evidence, but it's fairly clear that will happen very soon.
All right, so John, what do you know about this investigation that we're learning now is extending down to at least South Carolina, possibly Nevada, maybe even farther?
Yeah, who knows what else the task force knows that we don't. I mean, and they're the ones that are and should be in control. But for what it's worth, we know this fellow was a hunter, and he had a lot of guns. But hunters, they when they kill their game, they dismantle it, they cut it up, and so he would have had the wherewithal and the tools to cut up humans as well. So that's just a thought when you consider the other victims who were dismembered in the Gilgo Beach and Manorville area. In addition, apparently he hunted ducks, and it turns out now, we just found out that he had some kind of a little boat that you use to go out duck hunting in a swamp or a bay. So is it possible that he ever put any of the bodies in that boat and move the bodies that are there along Ocean Parkway by boat? It's a question, it's a thought. Don't know, but he certainly had that boat.
Yeah, and the property that apparently that he and his brother own in South Carolina also butts up to a pond there, according to reporting. John, last week you mentioned other states. I was listening to your comments to the media. Do you think Heuermann could be connected to crimes across our country?
He could very well be. Remember that there was nobody after him when the last girl disappeared in the Gilgo Beach area. That happened in August, September of 2010, and since then nobody was pursuing him that he would have been aware of. The police weren't, and they began to pursue him relatively recently. So he had every reason to continue. The only thing that perhaps stopped him to continue in the Gilgo Beach area was that the police began searching in that area. So he might have turned to other areas, but he certainly had the same state of mind. Nothing appears to have changed there. And so, what would stop him from doing this and using burial grounds in other areas? Not much. So there's a real chance they're going to turn up other murders.
And we know investigators obviously doing their due diligence, speaking with Rex's brother, speaking with his wife, with his children. Do you think we'll see someone else charged as a potential accomplice or possibly a co-conspirator?
It's certainly possible that he has others that he worked with. As far as his wife is concerned, doesn't seem to be any evidence that she had anything to do with this, but even if she did or knows something, there's a husband-wife privilege, so she doesn't have to talk to them about anything. So that kind of leaves her out. But the fact that there's a real possibility that he belonged to groups. He was a group joiner. One of the things we know is that he joined a group of sort of a social dating group, it seems, of architects and engineers, where he was very gregarious. Talked to every one of the members. He was very much into groups. And when you're doing sex porn, like he was, on the depth that he was, especially child porn, and you're doing, pain, torture, and even perhaps death, in the dark web area, like he apparently was, there's a tendency there to form groups of people who are similarly have the similar tastes, and they share pictures. They often share stories. They even rate the girls. Really sick stuff, but that happens. And they even sometimes fly to meet one another. I say that from 41 years of experience in dealing in the criminal field and also in family court. So there's a real chance that he has formed groups. Whether they are involved in this or not, I don't know.
All right, certainly so many more questions we need answers to. But again, at the heart of this, you do represent some of the victims' families, and we certainly wish them the best in all of this as they try to heal. Attorney John Ray, thank you.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.